Hi everyone, this is Stephanie at Hightower Stitching. Today I have number 274 and I called it Making a Double Split Quilt Block. And this is done best with your sewing machine rather than hand stitching because you're going to be cutting through the stitch lines in places. And this was neat because somebody requested a certain sized table runner for a special other place they were going to use it, and it had to be just the right amount, and so both the width and the length. So I started going back to some of my favorite blocks and thinking how I could do that, and what about changing some blocks. Well, I picked up this one that I had done before, and I don't have a source for it, magazine or anything. And what I want to do today is just, doesn't take long. It's just some block samples, choosing your fabrics, sewing the blocks, and then ideas maybe for using them, like I was saying, in a table runner or mats or something like that. And before I forget, I do want to tell you that I was playing with changing the sizes. And so if you had a 5-inch square, that you would start with 5 4-inch squares like I used, the charm squares, you'd get an 8-inch square. If you started with a 6-inch square, this is amazing, you'd get a 14-inch square. If you did a 4.5, you'd get a 7.5-inch block. So those are kind of fun, and I actually did some of those. So no more for that. And here are the samples. This is the second thing, or the first thing. All right, for example, I love this one. This is one I have just made as I was trying to figure out colors. Now, this one has got 4 totally different colors. You've got browns, and you've got blues, and then you've got the cream in there too. So that's really neat. This was 5 charm blocks, and it makes an 8-inch square. And one thing I want to tell you is that I opened all the seams, and the trickiest place on here is right here in the middle, because when you sew these together couple of 2 times, well, then that builds up. And I'm just going to tell you is that when I got it so thick at one point, I just folded everything together so I could feel it, and then didn't cut through the stitching, just cut off that end piece there so that I could stitch one more time through that. And then here's a sample of a 4.5, and this is in our season. This is a fun one because it looks like these were 2 different materials, this one and this one. And then this one was the same material used, and that turned out with a nice pattern. The next one is very similar to that because these 2 were similar, and you have that block, and then you had the green block. And this was another set of 5-inch charms that made an 8-inch square. But you can take some really bright material and make it come out really neat. And then this one is finally, then I finally stopped, but this was a 6-inch, and it gave me a 14-inch square. And the little ones are nice because they have a certain look that you'd like in a place. But then if you wanted to go bigger and you really wanted to see your colors, this is nice because this was actually 4 different blocks, 6-inch blocks. So that gives you a little idea of some of the things that you can do. Now, I haven't made the runner yet, and because I was building the idea, and that's not needed till after Christmas, so maybe we'll get that after the holidays. This one starts with 4 charm squares. They're the 5-inch, and they sort of look like they go together. That's why I took them. I'm not necessarily pleased because I'd already done a practice one with the way it did, but to get this for you guys, I did this one, and when you turn it over, I have opened up all the seams already on the back and pressed them. All right, then what I want to do, here's going to be my first set of cuts. I'm going to make 2 diagonal cuts. And you can either set it like this, or you can angle it like this. Whichever way is more comfortable for you, because then you don't have to pick up the pieces and move them. So I'm going to try, I haven't tried it this way. There we go. All right. There it is. I'm going to start over here at this corner, and I'm going to go straight across that bumpy spot, and I'm not going to move it because I want to pick it up, and I want to lay it down for the other diagonal. There it goes. All right, and I want to go through the middle, so I'm going to cut. Now what you do is you trade 2 blocks, two of your sections, because you have 4 triangles. So I think I'll just take these 2. Yeah, let's see, maybe, let's see what happens. Okay, I'm going to take this one and put it over here. And I'm going to take this one and put it over here. So you can look at it and see whether you like that, or you can turn them back the way you had it, and then decide whether you like that better. That's a good place to take a picture with your camera, so you can remember how you had it. Then the next part, that was your first cuts. The next thing you need to do will be to sew together, and you can either sew it this way or you can sew it this way. And then sew this one down, or the same way you were doing it. So you're going to be back to a square where everything's sewn together. And you can see I've got them all sewn back together. And when I turn it over, that looks sort of neat, the way they do going opposite each other. Now this is going to be the last set of cuts. Sort of a gathered look there for some reason, and this time you're not going to be doing anything with the whole thing. You're going to do each block, new block, and you're going to make a cut there, and you're going to go from this point diagonally down to that point and just leave that piece lay there. So I'm going to lay this on there. And I'm going to take this one. And this time it doesn't matter, like that one moved in the right-hand corner, because all right, I'm on the 4th one. And now what you do is you move them to a different place. So just for ease right now, I'm just going to rotate everything clockwise. And I kind of like that. That's a really nice assortment right there, and that would be the last cut. And then each one of these is going to be sewn onto that main one. So if you just leave your pieces right here, and you started with, say, your 1 o'clock position, and you sewed this one on with a 1/4 inch seam all the way across. And actually, I think I might have, where you've got a seam right there, you're going to match that seam to that and stitch all the way across. And then you're going to open it. And then you're going to go put the next one on, going down all the way around. And this one should look really cute. Let's see. And now I've got 2 corners on. And one thing I was going to tell you is, when I started, I realized that this one wasn't far enough, but then this one I was able to make, because if you put a pin to hold your center point, you have a bias side here so that you can take and set it over here. Now this one happened to be a really good size, and this side went great, and then this side wasn't quite, so I just took the corner and pulled it, just nudged it a little bit till it was right over there, and then sewed that on there. So that's one of the nice things about it, because you'll have your you'll have the bias to put that on. And even this is right the way it is right here. And just like everything, when you cut, sometimes one thing's bigger than the other, and they're even there. I'm going to take and pull that one a little bit that way, and pull that one a little bit that way. And then when you open it up and press it, then the bias makes it fit that corner. So go back. This one is really a good example. And you might, if you decide to do it, you might want to start with something like the 6.5 inch or the 6-inch squares, and then actually use 4 different ones that you have, and then sew those together. But this is just an idea. If you wanted, and if you wanted to put sashing in it, it would make a really neat quilt. It'd be so colorful. This is Stephanie at Hightower Stitching. I hope you enjoyed that. Notes that I have will be in the description. And please hit subscribe and like, and leave a comment if you would like to. Thank you for watching.